Hello, my fellow Braptonians. We're back. We're going to try this again. I am Jensen, Beeler of Asphalt and Rubber. I am your host. Over here is the man, the beard, the legend, Mr. Shahin. Alvandi!
That's me.
So, Shahin, I think I figured this out. I don't know. We tried this before. It was a total disaster. It was literally my worst fears coming to real life. Like, they happened in front of a live audience. I want to crawl up into a ball and die, but I think we fixed it. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Did we fix it?
Yeah, I don't know. But we're gonna try and salvage the situation. I've got still at least half a bottle of Mountain Dew, so we can make that work. What do you got there?
Can. I'm in a new can.
You got I don't know. What are you drinking there?
This is a great Notion Brewing's what is it called? Laid off lager. We got these because all the money goes to their furloughed employees here in Portland, Oregon. So it's nice. It's a feel good kind of beer.
Yeah. No, I'm all about it. We have with us on the mics. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Boom! There it is. We've got with us Mr. Steve Kamrad. Mr. Kamrad, say hello.
What's up, everybody? You know who the bomb is? Hell yeah!
Wow. This,
we gotta rethink our guests in here. This is the quality that we're.
I want it to be very clear. These are all your guests, not mine. This is the first time I've ever actually talked to Steve, which is like, I just want to really encourage you on your YouTube path. Obviously, I'm a veteran of YouTube now. I've got this all figured out. So if you need any pro tips, let me know.
Just in the last 2 hours, you've gone through such a crazy wave of emotion and learning. This is all about learning, and by learning, I don't mean YouTube. I mean spiritual learning. I've seen you take some deep breaths, a couple of tears shed. You're all right. You can do this.
It was stressful and touch and go for Mr. Beeler there for a minute. I'm just happy that he now acknowledges my existence.
That's a big day for you. That's a big day. Like someone of my stature acknowledging who you are. That's I don't want to use the term kingmaker, but it's kind of true. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe.
We're right on par with the time that Ernie Vigil or V Hill direct messages me back on Instagram. We're right there. It's one of those days. It's a major win here for the Kamrad camp.
Yeah.
The Kamrad camp. Gang.
How did you get into this racket, Steve?
I came on to the scene. I got invited to the Ducati Multistrada launch when they came out with the DVT and the Bosch IMU. So actually I came on the scene and Nathan Verdugo was there and Sean McDonald was there and Brian Catterson and Ken Condon. So it was a bunch of, skinny hipsters and then the legends of the game. And that was my first big break, which was through ADV Moto magazine.
Okay. Fascinating. All I heard from that was Brian Catterson and the word skinny hipster in the same sentence.
What, is my audio cutting out?
No. I heard the whole thing. I just like the idea of Brian Catterson and skinny. I want to take that out of context and just tell Brian Catterson now. I'm like, hey man, you look pretty good for a skinny hipster.
Yeah, when I found out that Brian Catterson was going to be showing up to that press launch, I was like, wait a minute, we're talking about Brian Catterson here? Because that was almost 5 years ago now. And ever since then, I became friends with Nathan Verdugo, and I got invited to the Ducati Multistrada 950 launch in the Canary Islands.
I didn't even get invited to that launch. They invited you, and they didn't even invite me.
Dang.
So then I decided I was going to, how am I going to separate myself from everybody else? And I shot a video while I was there. I edited it. And then that was kind of where I stepped off. And it's also where I separated myself from the rest of the, print journalists by doing extra work for free. A lot of extra work for nothing.
You're one of those people. I'm over here trying to make a buck and you're doing it all for free. Are you kidding me?
I'll do it. Pay? Fuck pay. Yeah, I need pay.
That's the hardest part about this game, right? Is people want to do stuff for free because initially you're like, dude, I would do that for free, but then people don't realize how much work goes into it. Like when I edit a video, if that video is 20 minutes, I've got anywhere from 20 to 60 hours of editing into it. You know, because we all know video is really hard, as we're all seeing here and now.
No, yeah, we're doing a live crash course on how hard video is. But you know, it's funny you say that, because I say the same thing to people that want to get involved in podcasting, and I say, you know, like, you don't realize how much goes into the back end of it. For every hour of show that we record, I probably have to do 3 hours in post to make it, you know, sound good, edit, flow, do all the other promotional stuff with it. It's a lot of work. And like, that's one of the reasons we don't really do a lot of video on Asphalt and Rubber, is because I just sit there and just like, it's a huge time suck. It's got to be exponentially more than what a podcast is. And that's brutal.
Yeah. And it's also really expensive when it comes to the computer stuff. Like I've got a $4,000 laptop and I still struggle with computers. Like I'm not good at them. But when I decided to do video, I shot all my video in the Canary Islands for that first one. And then I went and I maxed out a credit card to buy my first editing laptop, because I decided I'm either going to edit this footage or never shoot again.
Right.
I like that story. I like that idea. Like you and I should be friends, Steve. I think you're okay. You know,
here I am trying to connect people.
Yeah. Like, I'm glad she brought us together, because truthfully, I think that's the hustle that people don't realize. Cause it was the same thing for me with Asphalt and Rubber. Like I had to fake it until I could make it.
And that's hard. That's really hard to do.
And you got to foot the bill, and like, you're going to be unprofitable for, in my case, I wasn't profitable until year 3.
Wow.
Second 2.5 years. I mean, it's kind of hard to do the math, because like I was living with my mom and getting ready to like try and be like a lawyer and other things. And
shout out to all the moms out there that are supporting motorcycle journalists.
Or wives or girlfriends or partners in general, because there's one downstairs right now who's like, "I'll work, you do your thing."
But is she watching us on YouTube right now, Shahin? How far does T-Man's dedication go?
T-Man's dedication goes to as far as letting me steal this laptop so we can do what we're doing right
now. Fair. That's fair.
Yeah. And also, you know, she says things like, "You like that Street Fighter? You should buy one."
Ooh.
Fuck.
That's a good girl right there.
Right?
Jensen, a little backstory on you though. So did you ever practice law?
I prosecuted war criminals for the United Nations from the Rwandan genocide and the breakup of the former Yugoslavia. I have not practiced law in the United States.
Wow. That's pretty intense, man. I mean, shout out to you for that.
Yeah, it was cool. It's a good time. No, it's funny because I got my law degree from Penn State, and I also got an MBA from Penn State. And I went there with the idea that I was going to go into venture capital, or maybe do corporate development, mergers and acquisitions, but more on the business side than the law side. What I really wanted to do was work for a company like Google, help them find small startups to acquire, and then help manage those startups in a way that help the startups grow and profit and succeed, but also contribute value to Google down the line. And when I came out of school, that was 2008, and those industries didn't exist anymore. Those things were just gone, because that was all relying on institutional money, and institutional money was gone. So then I had to get crafty, and I started Asphalt and Rubber, truthfully, as a way to try and find a job in the motorcycle industry. I was just literally sending people my resume. I was figuring, I don't know anybody. I better come up with something good when they Google my name, because they're gonna be like, "Who's this guy?" And the solution to that was to start a blog called Asphalt and Rubber. And it was also easier to get interviews with like decision makers when it's for a story instead of for a job. And I got my foot in the door. Obviously it didn't really work out, but about a year into it, when I was still looking for jobs in the San Francisco area, I started realizing like, hey, like I had like 100,000 readers at that point a month. I was like, I'm making decent money. I'm not making great money. I'm not like super, positive about it, but if I was doing this full time, maybe I could make a living out of it. And so that's when I kind of gave it a go. And it took like another year and a half to make that happen, until I could finally move out of my mom's basement and be an adult.
You went from war criminals to venture capital to Asphalt and Rubber. It's a very smooth,
very traditional pathway for motorcycle
very traditional
journalism.
path.
Yeah.
Kids, if you're taking notes, this is how you become successful. Just go into a very different path and then just find yourself somewhere else. That's called life.
No, but like listening to Steve, what resonates with me though is this idea of like figuring out your path. Like it's not a clear, you know, trail that you get to walk down to find your way sometimes. And like for me, like I mean the recession like just decimated. Like I was applying for jobs at Google and I had friends who were recruiters and friends who were in the department, you know, trying to help me get these jobs. And they're like, you were literally applying for this job with 3,000 other people. And coming out of school, I had essentially zero work experience, unless you want to count my time with the UN and my time on my own, you know, businesses. But no established.
Did you turn down any moto jobs while you were looking for a job in the industry? Did you turn down any, like with a parts manufacturer?
No.
Or
clothing? No. Because I mean, it's the same thing with the motorcycle industry was just hurting as much as everyone else was, and I was even more of an outsider. So I had an opportunity with ExxonMobil, which was a disaster. That's the shortest job interview I've ever had. We had like the final interview and it lasted 2 minutes, and that was a good time. And I'm pretty stoked I didn't take that job, or should say get selected for that job, because it's not like I turned it down. I definitely didn't get it. But yeah, I think that's the thing, like, especially coming into where we are now, like, not to get like too deep on it. I wanted to keep this like social hour and fun, but you know, we're heading into another one of those really uncertain times, one of those, you know, points where people are going to have a hard time. They're going to lose their jobs. They're going to try and start businesses in a really difficult climate. And like, you kind of have to hustle. You kind of have to fake it until you make it. You're going to have to like do it the hard way. And that's what I liked about your story, Steve. You're sitting there like, hey, I had to buy this laptop and I had to do it for free. And I had to like prove my worth before I could get accepted into this little club. And I think that's the hurdle. That's the hurdle that I think keeps a lot of people out.
Well, it's also a really small club too, isn't it? Like if it's like a kiddie pool. Robert Pandy actually told me that it's like a kiddie pool. If you pee in it, everybody knows. So you don't.
It really is very small.
Yeah, you don't get the chance to screw up. Everybody knows everybody, and you're either on the good side or the bad side. So that's been like super interesting and revealing, because like, you know, you can't turn around and talk shit on somebody because you're gonna bump into them like the next week.
Yeah, that's the truth about this whole industry. It's very, very small. It's Aaron Frank, that used to be at Motorcyclist, said it perfectly. It's an incestuous, weird little industry, and we love it. You know, it's pretty cool, but it's interesting. Steve really kind of made such a good point about, you know, from what I understand, you kind of had a way in, right? Somebody allowed you to go to one of these cool multi-strata things, but that's where the idea of like, you got to know people to get places. Yes, you do, but you also have to have follow through. And if you don't have follow through, it doesn't fucking matter who put you there.
I find that like frustrating though, because like sometimes I'll have massive follow through. I'll crush something, right? And you know, I'll write this big, massive, like 5,500 word article on a first ride review, which if Jensen does his word counting, that's a big article. Especially for like a first ride review. And then like you go in and you do all that and you make a video and you get it all posted, you send it to the public relations officer that you're, you know, dealing with for that manufacturer. And they'll just be like, oh yeah, cool, thanks, man. Like they kind of appreciate it, but sometimes that falls on deaf ears. And then like, there's a bunch of people in the industry that do their job for their boss. So like, I personally turned down a job in the industry for first gear. They wanted me to come out to Irvine. It just wasn't the right time for me. I would have definitely taken the job, but it just wasn't the right time for me to go out to Irvine. You know, I was still married at the time and stuff like that. But, you know, when they offered me the job, one of my questions was, do we have contacts at, you know, this media outlet and this other media outlet? And then, you know, those are there were two media outlets that I don't really love the content that comes out of them, but they're really big players in the game. And that's like, already I was going to do my job for my boss, who wouldn't understand that I can make a bigger impact by doing things with certain people or smaller media outlets or certain social media following. So it's a really tough balance that PR agents have, and it's hard. It's a hard thing for somebody like me to swallow, where I'm like, dude, I sat at my computer for 40, 50 hours to edit this video, and you haven't even watched the whole thing, because I know you haven't, because I shouted you out at the end or something like that. And they're like, oh yeah, no, the video was cool. Like, oh yeah, what about the part where I mentioned you, or I put you in the video? Like, you didn't mention that. And I know why, because they didn't watch my 13-minute YouTube video. So it gets to be
Are you talking about me right now? Because I can tell you I haven't heard of you or your channel until like a couple days ago.
No,
Okay, cool.
I would actually never. It would probably hurt my channel if I mentioned you,
Yeah.
Jensen. So.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're probably right. That's a good call.
Yeah, but like when you mentioned one of your like closer friends, like if I got my chance to ride one of the new Ducati Multi 1260s, one of the first people I would mention is Shahin. Like I'd be like, dude, my buddy Shahin, he's got this 1200, and or Overkill Andy, which Shahin knows, and I'm sure Jensen, like you just
I recognize the name.
What's that?
I recognize the name. Yeah, he's a follower.
Yeah, he's a rad dude. Yeah, super cool follower.
That guy's a maniac.
Dude, we invited him to join our team for that Dacre Challenge, which I forget the year now. It might have been like 2016. Spurgeon and I won it, so it was a race. And I know Jensen just does not like Spurgeon, so
stop triggering him. Stop.
Yeah,
it.
you can't see my video right. There we go.
Just a bunch
boo, of boo, boo. 2 thumbs down for Spurgeon. I love Spurgeon. He's
So we invited Andy to come out to participate in the race with us, man, and it was super cool, super positive kid, man. Like he's just one of the homies, man. But that's somebody that, like, when you look at who has influence in the industry like that, man, like that's just one of those cool people you want on your side at all times. And like I love when I get to do those little tiny nuanced things in my videos that, like, some of the bigger media outlets might be like, hey man, this is cool, but like I don't know what you're talking about. And I'll just tell them like, hey man, just leave it in the video anyway. Like it's good. And then that person will then share that video with his friends, his parents, 20 other people. Those 20 other people are like, look, this person got mentioned. And I mean, it just gives you that hometown feel. So I try to always have that connection, which, it might be hard, man. Asphalt and rubber is really huge, for your following. So like I know you have your Asphalt Pro account, which I'm sure is the only reason I'm on this channel, is you're just trying to get one more pro user.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Have you signed on?
We can't monetize this video because there's too much cursing. So if I can get at least 1 pro subscriber out of this, it's a win for me.
Really? We can't monetize this one?
I don't think so.
Have we cursed yet?
Yeah, probably.
Fuck no. We have very good, clean fucking mouths. We don't curse. We're good bunch of kids. No.
I'm sure there's some violation of the user agreement we just hit.
So
I didn't sign anything.
How about you? What's your story? Is how you got into the industry?
I'm still not certain that I'm in the industry. I'm just skirting the outsides, saying, hello, is this thing on? But in reality, I got into motorcycles professionally in like 2005 as a motorcycle sales guy, like an accidental motorcycle sales guy. I was trying to go to MMI, Motorcycle Mechanic Institute in Orlando, and then I went and visited the place and was completely disenchanted with, like, it just looked like a money printing place. Like, bring in as many people, try to have them graduate in as short of a time as possible so that we can collect our $28,000 or $30,000, whatever it was, and then you go out there and work as a C-Tech and hopefully get a job and do your thing. So at the time I was only like 25, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a motorcycle mechanic. I think I love bikes a lot, and I just want to do this for life. And after my preview of the school, I was just kind of walking around this big dealership in Orlando, Florida, and I had just gone there. I had like hardly any money, no friends, just kind of showed up. I was like, I'll figure this out. And I walked in this dealership, multi-line dealership. It's a Ride Now, which is long gone now, but they sold Suzuki, Honda, Triumph, and Bombardier stuff. And this sales guy was just kind of like walking around trying to like talk to me about the motorcycle, and he knew fuck all about the bike. And so I was kind of like just being my outgoing self, talking with the guy, being friendly. And then I kind of corrected him a little bit on a couple of things, like, hey, future reference, if you want to explain this to someone, chances are they know a little bit more than you, so at least know what you're talking about. The general manager saw me talking to him, and he kind of got the gist of like, I was just kind of hanging out. I was a visitor. And so we started chatting and I told him about the MMI thing. And he's like, I bet in the next 2 months, you'll make more money selling motorcycles than you would as a mechanic. And as a 25-year-old who didn't really have any money because I just moved across country.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it. Yeah, why not? And so I got the job just pedaling bikes. And like in the first month, I sold like 25 units. And so I was like, oh yeah, I guess I got a thing here. And so I just did that. And then nothing really came of it. When I first moved to America, I learned how to read English and read and speak English, not very well, with doing a couple of things like TV, reading Calvin and Hobbes, and just by some weird chance, I picked up Motorcyclist, a magazine. And that became like my thing. I would just read it all the time. I wanted to like learn the words and get to know the characters, the people that are writing these things. So fast forward into 2012, motorcyclist.com, Motorcyclist Instagram account had just become a thing, and they wanted to get more followers on Instagram. So they started doing these, I don't know, like, hey, try to win a helmet. So I did this hashtag I need a new lid, contest to try and win a helmet, and I won the helmet. And long story short, I ended up in the magazine. And like at this point, I've been selling my bikes and I've been managing dealerships and doing like all the work. And so I'm still freaking out, like, holy shit, this magazine that I've been reading since I was a little kid just did a whole like article on me. That's so fucking cool. And that was the impetus of me moving to Portland. And ever since I moved to Portland in 2015, 5 years ago, almost exactly to the day, I just got way more involved. I started like doing Instagram stuff and talking to cool people and like trying to go to cool rides and getting to know people like Jensen and yourself and a bunch of other really neat characters. So only in the last like 5 years has it become like a thing, like I'm really like broadcasting and like really trying to spread the message and kind of, getting people involved and getting out on rides and doing stuff like that. But beforehand, I was just a dude selling bikes, managing dealerships and trying to make sure the numbers worked, and didn't really get involved in the minutia that we're doing now. So it was all an accident, just because I walked into a dealership.
So basically your enthusiasm for motorcycles and life and people is what has gotten you to the point where you are now, which is you are let's face it, in the small circle of awesome people that, we all follow and we're all friends with, you are a motorcycle spokesman. You project that out and you're just like, this is the best. I don't care what everybody else is doing. This is really what I want to do and be part of, and it's not even on a professional, like I need to do this for income level. You're doing this because it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's, enthusiasm is a word that's often described for me. I'm a very high strung, super extroverted guy. I don't even try to be loud. It's just who I am. So yeah, I mean, I love motorcycles. I truly love motorcycles. I would say 99% of the best relationships I've ever had in my life, 99% of some of the best things that have ever happened in my life have been because of motorcycles. I can't think of another innate object that you can buy, just something that you can buy that can connect you with so many different people in so many different walks of life, like motorcycles. And so it's built like this crazy, enthusiasm is the good word for it, but I think fanfare is I'm like the super fan of bikes, and there is not really a brand I've ever met that I dislike. They all do something that I really enjoy. And so, yeah, it's always been just me talking about them and me selling them to people, not as like a smarmy sales guy, like, hey, what can I do to get you on a bike today? It's more of a, dude, this is a really cool thing. Let's find out what your budget is, what your choices are, and let's like spend some time and like get you on the right bike, because I want you to keep coming back and I want you to go out riding with me. And I did cool things like taking my customers from Portland to Cabo San Lucas and back. Like, it's a long-term relationship. It's not just a buy and, get out thing. So no, I've been very lucky. I've got this loud, obnoxious personality that sort of helped me navigate through life's many, many weird instances, but especially in motorcycles and the cool little circle that you mentioned. I love it a lot.
I like that Steve has taken over this live stream. He's just showing his journalistic chops to the world.
Dude, I don't claim to be any kind of
no, it's cool. It's cool, dude. I'll just do all the work. You take over. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
One of the first things that Rennie Skaesbrook said to me was, anybody who considers himself a motorcycle journalist is a bit of a dick.
That is a Rennie Skagesbrook thing to say. Absolutely. And with that, I'm going to class things up a little bit, and we're going to get Sara on the line here. Hold on. Let's see if I can make the magic happen. Doop, doop, doop. Internets.
It's pretty cool. I got my laptop in the background.
Yeah, I noticed that. You're flirting with disaster in terms of like the universe.
There's a lot happening with you, Steve. You're like in this classic old Jersey house with the laptop and the mirror, and I can't tell if that's a dildo or a bong in the background, and there's a lot going on.
Over here?
Oh, the other side.
That looks like the worst.
Next to the globe. What is that thing? Yeah.
Man, I don't want to say what I think that is, but whatever you do in the privacy of your home, it's none of my business.
Look, and then all of a sudden we have the kindest, most friendly face on the planet, Sara.
Sara, say hi to everybody.
Oh, I see. Sara, you're gonna take the thing we've got going, and you're gonna just.
She's unmuting. Don't worry, I've been down this exact path before.
Here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent. How are you guys?
Really good. Thanks for joining us, Sara.
Jensen, why don't you tell Sara how you're feeling? Why don't you go through your little bit of emotions you had in the last 2-3 hours?
I'm doing great. Having a great time.
I was laughing.
I had this whole thing planned. It was a disaster. But it's all right. Everyone's here. We figured it out. We got a live stream. But there's like, 7 people watching us. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
That's 7 more people than I had watching me 2 hours ago.
Exactly. But then what you're going to do, Jensen, is you're going to upload this to YouTube, and this is going to live forever, right?
This one I'll let live forever. I killed the last one. I already deleted it. I got on top of that.
Well, listen, I hope you saved some reels from the last one. The last one was amazing. I was trying to do like
hilarious
things where people could see me with my emotions.
I'm sure Sara was embarrassed to even have her name attached to this.
No, I think it was so funny. I'm glad y'all invited me to come join the party.
I'm glad you came to join the party because I spent like an hour coming up with a trivia thing to do with you while you were on the show. So we're definitely doing that.
Yes, the triggers.
I worked too hard, but now we've got Shahin and Steve, so it can be like a whole party. Let me see if I can make this work.
I know. I feel like the Brady Bunch. I'm looking at all these different screens, and I just want to like look to my left and look at Jensen and down at Sara on my screen. I don't know how it is.
I'm going to say that this is the Hollywood Squares of people who...
I love it.
There we go.
All right, you guys want to try this?
Yeah, come at me, bro.
All right. We're playing for points. I don't really know how the points are going to work, but this is very Ducati centric trivia because I was thinking it would just be Shahin versus Sara, and I kind of know who's going to win. So.
Really? Yeah.
Probably Sara. Probably Sara. My money's on her.
It's okay. It's okay. They get progressively harder as we go along. So we'll start you off with an easy one. Just start talking, and whoever Zoom thinks spoke first, it'll come up on the video, and that's how we'll figure out who hit the buzzer first. How about that?
Okay.
All right. Warm-up question. True or false? Non-Italian Ducati owners who use Italian phrases like "Ciao, amico" in regular conversation with each other are super cool.
True. I don't even know what the question was. True.
Oh gosh, we got a little guilty of doing this. What was the question though?
It's a true false. The statement I said was a true or false.
Oh, that it's cool or not cool? I didn't hear the ending.
In regular conversation with each other are super cool. That was the exact question.
Totally super cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say false.
You guys are killing me. Just killing me.
Listen, Jensen, I've made fun of this before. It's like when somebody's like making pasta and they're using like Parmesan, but they're not from Italy. And they're like, yeah, today we're going to make pasta Reggiano. Like, shut the fuck up.
I was just hoping that like as officers of Ducati owners clubs, you guys could maybe shed some light on why certain Ducati owners are just really annoying. Just really with the whole, like, I'm an Italian because I ride an Italian motorcycle now.
None of our members do that. Just saying.
Oh, maybe it's just it's a West Coast
Okay,
thing.
okay. I'm gonna say this.
All our members are cool. Okay.
Apparently, Houston's a very bunch of cool people.
They're just very hip. Houston's very hip right now.
I've met a couple of members. Now, I would say it's probably a very, very tiny, tiny little percentage, like 1 out of 100 maybe. They just really want to legitimize their purchase. That's all it is. They just want to say, look, I fucking made it. I bought this Panigale. It's amazing. And it's a Panigale, not a Panigale or whatever. Most people do stuff like that just to legitimize it. They want to seem like they're a little more like enlightened. Woke, yo.
Woke. Okay. All right. Let's move along. Slightly more difficult question, but I think you guys are going to get this one. Coming from the Bolognese dialect of Italian, diavolo means what in English?
Isn't it? I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong answer.
That would be really embarrassing if you said the wrong answer.
It would be.
Yeah.
So I'm just.
Gentlemen, the question's open to you.
I believe diavolo in Bolognese really means like a very specific cut of pork. It eats acorns towards the end of its life. I always thought it meant the devil. Like it's called the diavolo.
Yeah, it's the devil. It's the devil.
The wrong answer.
Come on.
I like how nervous you had Sarah. She's like, oh, geez, are they going to take away my presidency because of this?
Yeah.
I'm really worried. These are the easy questions. I'm worried what's going to happen when the questions get harder. All right. I'm going to give that one to Shahin. Shahin gets a point.
Yes.
Woo!
Double points. On the line here. What does superleggera mean in English?
I know that answer. It's
Hey, I need you to butt out of this, Steve. Okay, this is a Ducati owners thing, not Triumph owners.
No, Steve's in this. Steve, give me your answer. You were on the buzzer first.
Yeah.
I would just like to say it means super lightweight.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's a double point. So Shahin, you're actually 1 point behind me, most likely.
Who invited the Triumph owner? This is a Ducati meeting.
I would
right
just
now.
like to point out the Triumph guy is so far leading the Ducati trivia game.
Son of a. You know what? I didn't have gloves on, but they're coming off. Whatever I had on.
All right.
I like how Jensen Beeler. I like how Jensen is the Drew Carey of Whose Line Is It Anyway for motorcycle trivia.
This is exactly where I got my inspiration. I'm like a more handsomer Drew Carey.
Here's hold on, easy. But my problem here is that like I know the answers and I'm in the background like I want to answer it, but I also don't want to be that fucking kid in the back of the class like I know the answer. Ooh, pick me, teacher.
For the pride of the Brap Talk podcast, Shahin, I hope you get in this game. Get on the scoreboard here. All right.
For the pride of the Brap Talk podcast, I'll shotgun a beer right now if you want to happen.
All right, for the steal, final question.
Oh, God.
We all know that the Panigale Superbike is named after the Borgo Panigale area where the Ducati factory is located. I mean, that's what I wrote down. Now I don't know if we all know that. I'm worried about what your guys' general knowledge is, but that is true. Correct. But here's my question. Where does the name Borgo Panigale come from?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, I do. Yes. That's how a trivia game works. I ask you questions and you answer them.
I think it's from like wasn't there like a central shopping area that people used to buy all their shit in Borgo Panigale? I'm pretty certain. Okay, go ahead, Jensen.
I don't know. Please enlighten us.
So the setup was the diavolo name. So Panigale is a reference to bread, pane. So really, when you're riding a Panigale superbike, you're riding the bread superbike.
It's truly the best thing since sliced bread. Holy shit! That should be. Why isn't that part of their advertising?
I have literally asked them that question. I've literally
marketing
said,
guy. If you're watching, Daddy gets a fucking taste.
Yeah, but yeah, way back. That's where they made a bunch of bread. The people there were Panigale, makers of bread. Borgo means like neighborhood or village or town, depending on how you translate it. So it's like the bread village. It's where everyone went to go get their bread. It's like the bakery
now I have to buy one just because I love bread so much. I learned something new. Okay. I did. Okay. I'm gonna have a little patch for you, Sarah. That's gonna be just a piece of bread, so that you can wear it when you ride your Panigale.
we should take
I
a
love
moment
that.
to recognize the marketing guy who owes you a taste over at Ducati. That would be Philip Reed Jr., or as he likes to refer to himself as Phil Factory Reed. Um, he's one of my favorite people in the motorcycling industry, but Shahin, Philip Reed definitely owes you a taste.
Philip Reed, he and I got to meet in Miami. Awesome guy, and he's a lot taller than I thought he would be. And he walked up, and he's got just this nice English accent. But he's like, Shahin Alvandi, right? I was like, who are you with a nice British accent? He's like, I'm Phil Reed Jr. I'm like, why does that name sound so familiar to me? I didn't know who he was. I just knew who his senior was. And so I went home, and even my mom's like, how do I know that name? I'm like, Mom, you're so cool. You used to watch racing with me, and you know the name Phil Reed. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's who his daddy is. Phil Reed's daddy's the man. Really, that's a special guy right there, but just because of his lineage, but also because Phil, I've learned more about motorcycle marketing and how to handle myself with press or within the industry or any kind of public relations stuff. I've learned that from messing with Phil and having him curse me out through Instagram direct messaging, like, what the F are you doing? Than I've ever learned from any marketing book or anything else like that. So shout out to Phil Reed.
Is he part of the gang? Does he wear Crocs? I don't know. I don't understand how this shout out works with you.
Ooh, Phil does not own a pair of Crocs yet. But I think we can talk him into him for the next Mint 400 race. I feel like he should just show up and just wear those. That would be the move. He could be in the gang.
Ducati Crocs. Oh, look, super
my.
Leggero ones. Little carbon fiber across the strap. I'm just saying, Daddy, that's a taste.
Or they're just bread loaves. Bread loaf Crocs.
There we go.
Just a nice little baguette for you. Stay on brand. All right, moving along. Next question.
Oh God.
Who can be the first one in 7 words or less to describe how a desmodromic valve works?
I can do it with my fingers.
Ooh, can you show me? Is it like this? That's kind of suggestive and weird, but I think that's how it is. Hey, does this count?
All right, we're just going to move on to the next question because this is getting out of control. Before World War II, what did Ducati manufacture in its factory?
Radios.
Boom! On the board.
Oh man, I was gonna say something totally different, but yeah, radios.
Radios, radio tubes, transistors, all that good stuff. Okay.
Specifically ham radios, hard as a motherfucker.
Don't actually think that's true, but
I'm going to go with Steve. I think that is true. Steve?
I'm giving you both -5 points.
Half a point from me to you, Steve.
Maybe the cutest motorcycle Ducati has ever made. This bike was also the company's first.
Oh, we're talking about the little puppy dog.
Yeah, what's it? How do you pronounce it? I know.
Is it Cuchillo? I think. I don't know.
Something. That's what I thought it was.
All right, that was a group effort. You guys get that one.
Yeah.
The Cuchillo. Cuchillo.
Jensen, we talked about this. If you're gonna say Italian words, use the right accent.
It's the Cucciello. Hey, Babidi.
I cannot wait for Dominicali to slap you again.
Oh my gosh. Double points. What does it mean in English? You guys already
said it. I just said it. Puppy dog. It's a puppy. It's a little poopy.
Well, we weren't there yet, so you
what
blew
the?
your chance.
I was ahead of you.
Someone could have the steal.
Hey, how many points do I have? Is that double points? What's up, Steve? I'm ahead of you.
Don't worry, I'm keeping track of the points. All right, for the steal, Ducati was started by Antonio Cavalieri Ducati and his 3 sons. Name his 3 sons.
It's Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Donatello.
I think there's an Adrian.
Just give me one son at this point. I'll just take one.
I don't know.
I want to say Adriano.
Wow! Look at you! Look at you!
Hey, man, I got a book. I read once in a while. I mean,
boom! I didn't think anyone was going to get that one. That's impressive. You're going to get a lot of points for that. Adriano Marcello and Bruno.
Bruno, that's the other name.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. All right, we're going racing. What was the first and only year that Ducati won a Grand Prix title?
2007?
Boom. Casey Stoner won the MotoGP World Championship in 2007 for Ducati. Right. Who came in second place that season?
Valentino Rossi.
Wrong.
Really? Damn it.
2007, second place.
I don't remember.
Why am I thinking the Texas Tornado?
Because you're thinking wrong. That's what you're thinking.
Mm-mm.
All right. Danny Pedrosa.
Who's Danny Pedrosa? Is he even around anymore?
All right. I'm just gonna say Steve Kamrad wins. That's
Wait, what?
That's where it is.
This is arbitrarily.
Yeah. You know what?
Steve Kamrad.
Shahin, let's just face it. I deserve that win just based on the fact that I learned more about Ducatis through osmosis than you did by reading a book.
and that is how life works, kids. So lesson number 2.
Yeah, he was the most impressive one. He gets the win.
It's those Oakleys, wasn't it? It is.
Those things are disgusting. Those things are absolutely disgusting.
Steve has more glass changes than Mariah Carey did outfit changes during an Oscar.
Or a Super Bowl halftime show. So we already did the tell us everything about you and how you got in this industry thing, Sara, and you missed out. So let's catch you back up. Tell us your motorcycling story. How did you get into this crazy world?
So I always loved bikes, but I didn't get to start riding on my own bike till 2004. So, oh, that's so weird. We just see his chair.
It's so creepy.
And so my uncle, he always loved Ducatis, and I always heard him say when I was younger that, Ducatis are the best. So that's how I knew about Ducatis. And I first started riding in 2004, and I started with a Honda CBR 600. Rode that for a couple months, and then got my first Ducati. It was a 749 Dark, and then been riding Ducks ever since.
What's in your garage right now?
I just got a brand new Panigale V4S.
Ooh.
Yep.
And do you ride that Panigale V4S on the track?
I do. I just got it in January, and my husband surprised me and got that for me. And I've only been on the track though twice at our local track, and I'm totally disappointed because we were supposed to ride at Coda next month. So hopefully it'll be sometime this year.
Just out of curiosity, how many times have you actually been on the track? Not with a V4, but just in general. When did you start doing track days? When I first started riding, I think I had a 749S, and I only went one time because the timing was off. I'm married, and my son was young at the time. And then, why are you laughing? Because Steve.
Oh.
They can't see it, but Steve put up a going for beer sign on his feed.
And so then I think it was probably 2014 when I got involved with the club. I started going to the track with the guys, and I don't know how many times. I've gone a lot.
What was the first bike that was on the track? Was it the 749 Dark?
The S, and only one time. It was one time, and there was no class. It was just kind of I think a European track day, and so it was at Crescent in Dallas, and they were just like, "Okay, here you go," and I just went out there, and I'm like, "What the hell do I do?" And knew nothing about lines or anything, so I don't even barely count that as a.
Oh wow! So there was no instruction. There was just the throw you the fire and best of luck to you.
It's like, here you go, and so I was like, "What am I?" I had no idea what I was doing.
You do a lot of track days that I see on Instagram. Do you kind of help others kind of get familiarized with it now, since you kind of got started, I would say maybe not the right way?
yeah.
It's very
so then
judgmental of you, Shahin. Very judgmental. Yo, you
It
got
just
into
sounds
motorcycles
terrible.
the wrong way.
Well,
I
no,
got it
track
the
days though. We
wrong
talk about
way.
track days all the time. Like there is like the right way and wrong way. And I
Yeah.
feel like something as intense as track days, if somebody's like, oh yeah, why don't you take that Ducati and just go over there and best of luck to you, don't die.
Hey guys, I just want to interrupt for a second so everybody can see why somebody was laughing. I made a note, but also this is not going to be a track day podcast, guys. We're not going to talk about gas or Jensen dealers, 690 Kazam bike. Okay? Let's not focus too much on track days, but please continue with your track days.
Who's running this feed?
No,
Who's in charge here?
To talk about track. It's fun. Yep. So my 1199 was when I was really starting to ride the tracks. And that was in 2014. And then I've been hooked ever since.
And then you got a Mandala V4S, and you're living your best life.
So, well, no. So unfortunately, the 1199S and our Scrambler had got stolen.
Oh no.
Yeah. So then I got the 1299, and then now I have the V4S. So then I just sold the 1299S. Yeah.
I think you're gonna enjoy that V4 a lot more than the 1299.
Oh yeah, totally. It's just I think it's a little bit easier to ride on the track, and it's just so much smoother, and you're not feeling like you're it's wearing you out physically.
No, I think that's the big difference. The thing with the 1299 is you have to ride it hard to get the best out of it. It's not a bike that you can just kind of mosey around the track on. And the V4 is definitely that bike. The V4 just gets better and better and better the harder you ride it, but it actually can putt around and be okay. And you can do lap times all the way through the spectrum and enjoy it. Whereas I think the 1299 was a little bit not that way.
And the 1199 was even whoa.
Well, the 1199 didn't have the torque that the 1299 did, so you had to ride it like an inline four and always be on that rev limiter. And the 1299 helped that in that regard, but it's still, I mean, the engine, if you want to get back to the trivia, super quadro over square. You know, it's just this big honking piston that you have to keep moving.
That's what I heard. Yeah. So no regrets. I'm super happy with the new V4.
Steve,
so
what
else do you do aside from track days on motorcycling? I see you're pretty active on Instagram. Tell us about your typical motorcycling foray.
So with the Instagram, I think that's just like my creative outlet. I like to just share the passion and then also like all of our rides we do at the club. So I like to just share the stories, and I'm trying to do some more traveling. So I'm just enjoying it and just trying to share the passion and having a great time.
Steve, when can we expect you to get on the track with your Triumph?
I've actually already done a track day once. It's in one of my YouTube videos. I know you're not familiar with them because you refuse to watch my YouTube channel, but
not even subscribed to it. Yeah,
Steve, he's just terrified of YouTube. Period. It's not you. He just doesn't. As we learned earlier today,
I literally discovered YouTube this last week. ASMR videos are awesome, by the way. I'm glad that's a thing. That's my next little business thing is going to be motorcycle ASMR.
I wish I had ASMR so I could enjoy those ASMR videos. They seem like they're really fun for people that have that. I don't have ASMR. Back to your track day question. I did a rally sprint enduro race. So it's a race that is 50% motocross track, but around all the jumps, and then 50% like a drift course at Raceway Park, New Jersey. So small little asphalt track. I had a low side on my Triumph Tiger there, but that was the only time a cast-wheeled Triumph Tiger is the perfect weapon for anything at all ever, is when you have to go halfway around a smooth motocross kind of track with big turns and then get dumped out onto an asphalt track and just haul ass. Did it with Mita Z09 tires on it. Had a blast. Really, I actually won that day. I won the overall in the sprint enduro. So actually, as far as track day goes, I'm undefeated.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. You don't think a supermoto would have been better for that?
No, because I saw some pretty big speeds. You know, I was in 4th and 5th gear on a couple. Yeah, maybe a supermoto been the better bike for that, but for me, I won, so I'm just gonna roll with that. You know what might have been. You know what might have done really well would have been a crammer.
A crammer. It's where you cram it into the track and do the best you can. Yeah. Listen, as I always say, every pizza is a personal pizza if you got the gumption. Every bike's the right bike if you got the Steve Kamrad attitude.
I am looking forward to doing a track day on my Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE. You know, I got some street tires set aside for it. I'm still going to run the 21-inch front, but that is something that I want to do. I want to go out there and just romp on some people with that bike. Jensen, have you ridden that 1200 Triumph motor in any of the platforms besides the bobber? Because that's kind of awkward.
No, not the new one.
So the new Triumph 1200 motor it's the raddest. So the Scrambler.
You're talking about the parallel twin, not the triple, right?
Yeah, no, the triple 1200 is a different animal. I'm not a huge fan of that motor. Did spend an entire night in Utah doing 145 miles an hour down the highway on one, and that was cool. Like, I mean, like, just run a full tank of gas to empty. That was a neat experience. But the 1200 Scrambler, so the Triumph 1200 twin motor, it's the raddest production motorcycle that I've ever ridden. The only motorcycle that I've ever ridden that's more rad than that would be the
some other Triumph, maybe. Could you mention another Triumph in your plug here?
No, it's actually the Revit 9.5 bike, the modified 2-wheel drive Revit Super Enduro. It's a KTM Super Enduro with like this 13-gallon tank and a 2-wheel drive Christini setup, and it has a 1-into-1 exhaust. So it's just 2 straight pipes coming out the back, and it's the loudest thing on the planet.
It just sounds so rowdy in every way possible.
Dude, that bike is so rad, and it'll run down like at elevations because it's got Klein FCR flat slides in it. It'll run down a brand new 1090, like just bury it on the asphalt. The bike is really, really rad. You know, I think Revit has it at their Brooklyn location, so you could fly in there and pick it up there too. You know, you could always try that thing out because everybody's ridden it or molested it a little bit. Abby from Bike Curious has molested that bike. Excuse me, got a little beer burp. Sam Bendel has actually touched that bike in an inappropriate way, and then myself and a couple other people. So, I mean, you should probably get your hands on that thing. That's the coolest production motorcycle I've ever ridden.
Wait, is there an appropriate way of touching a bike?
Sorry, it's the coolest, the raddest motorcycle I've ever ridden. But production-wise, the 1200 Scrambler is the best. So that's what I have in my garage. You should ride any 1200 motor Triumph you can get your hands on, the twin. Super cool. I do like those. But they don't make a ton of horsepower. So that's I don't know. When am I going to get to a track day? I guess whenever the tracks open up and some of my local friends from New York City do a track day and they invite me out, I might get my Scrambler out there for a track day and slide it around a little bit, be inappropriate on it.
What's the track out there?
There's that New York Safety Track. The New York Safety Track has Evolve Sport Bike School, so that's one of the tracks. No, that one's way upstate New York.
And no, I'm saying you're in Philly.
Oh no, I'm in Trenton, New Jersey, man, born and raised.
Okay, so you got New Jersey Motorsports Park near you, Summit's near you.
Yes.
Pocono is a little bit far away. Beav Run out in Pittsburgh is probably a little bit too much of a ways. New York Safety Track up north. I've done the tracks out there. I used to be with Nesba. They're now N2. They're a good track day group to get with.
When it comes to any kind of track day stuff, man, or riding a motorcycle, there's no place for me that's too far. When I went and did those rally races up in Canada, they were 14 hours away, and you know they're one day of racing. The Sandblast rally's 12 hours away, one day of racing. So If you just say Pittsburgh's 5 hours out, I can make it there no problem. So Jensen, you let me know where you're going to be, and I'll show up and you can show me the fast line around the track.
Yeah. I'll show you how to do YouTube too. We'll be like, it'll be a twofer.
I will say this: Jensen is much better at track riding than at YouTube. He is.
I'm better at most things than I am at YouTube after today's showing of things. Come on.
Sara, what's the track you ride typically?
So Coda is like only 2 hours away in Austin, obviously. And then we have a local one, MSR Houston. That's only like 30 minutes.
Are we talking about the cat?
Same name.
Wait, they've named a track after the cat?
Yeah, isn't that cool? The city of Austin was like, we really like this cat. We're going to name our track after it. I mean, they kind of had to do it on the sly, Circuit of the Americas, but we all know what was going on there.
Okay, so they just made sure that Daddy got a taste on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I knew a guy on the inside, hooked it up.
The funny part is Jensen has to pay to get him, but Coda Kitty just walks right in like she fucking owns the place.
Yeah.
Another fun track that I've only gotten to ride once was at Barber. That was so fun. Have you ridden there at the Barber?
Yeah.
In Alabama?
Yeah, I did the S1000RR launch there. That is a great track. Would you ride there?
Yeah.
What bike were you on?
My 1299.
Oh, wow. Okay. Huh.
That just seems like so much bike at that track.
That's a lot of bike at that track. I don't know if I'd want to ride a 1299 at Barber. Good on you.
It was fun. It was like being on a roller coaster. It just floats really well. Hopefully, but it's like a 10-hour drive for us. So hopefully we'll make it out there again.
This is one of my favorite things about motorcycles. We'll be like, I know it's like a day away and I'm only going to do the thing for like 2 hours, but I'm going because motorcycles.
Totally.
Were you out there for Vintage Fest, or you were just like, I want to do a track day out there?
Oh, actually, I did go to the Vintage Festival. I think it was like 2 years ago. That was just to watch. And then the other one was for a track day. I think it was, is it sport time? I don't remember the name of the school, but it was a weekend of the actual track day.
And was the museum open as well?
Yes. God, that's incredible. Is he okay over there?
I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Steve.
Steve runs to the beat of no one's drum. There's no drums at all. Steve just runs in circles.
Guys, we're like, if you just didn't cause attention to this, no one would know that I'm having some technical difficulties
with my. It's so distracting, though. It's like I'm washing a washing machine go do its business over here on Zoom.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know that this is happening if.
Are you saying we should have been more professional in our live stream?
We just wouldn't know this is happening.
Steve, we're the most professional when it comes to YouTube and live streaming.
No. Look, podcasts are not live streaming, okay? But like, if you were watching the YouTube, like this wouldn't have even came up. But I dropped my phone because I'm having technical difficulties. I just want to put my headphones on so I can feel like PewDiePie, the YouTuber.
PewDiePie. I don't know who that is.
My man. Yeah, Jensen doesn't know who that is, but once he does, he's going to start doing reactionary YouTube videos. Like I just did in my latest YouTube video. Shahin, you watched it, right? You enjoyed that?
I did. I enjoyed it very much. I'm excited for Jensen to start doing like unboxing videos on YouTube. Once he realizes there's a whole audience for that, he's going to start unboxing Coda Kitty from different boxes.
Funny you should mention that. Coda Kitty is actually in a box right now. I don't know if I can do this on the technical side here. This is going to be difficult.
It's the most slow turn. Oh, look at that.
Don't.
If it fits, I sit.
You gotta. Yeah, there she is. She's in the box.
Oh,
yeah.
Careful.
Yeah,
that is that right there is the most dangerous, fluffy little thing in the planet. Don't trust it with anything.
Oh no.
My favorite part of the Asphalt and Rubber podcast is the outtakes where Coda Kitty's doing something, which is usually it's her biting you, Shahin. Usually she's biting you.
God damn it. Dude, she'll come up to me and be like, hey friend, you remember how I'm cute and you just pet me and bite you? I'm like, why?
I'm not saying I'm a bad cat father, but it doesn't look good for me having kids.
Jensen, you're like a free range cat father. Like, just do the thing. It's a cat. It scratches. Just let it do the thing.
She's alive. All right. That's a win in my book.
There you go. I heard that you and Shahin got to test ride the new Street Fighter. What did you think?
We did. Yeah, it was okay. It was all right.
All right.
It was okay. Yeah.
It's no big deal. I'm not in love. I'm not like constantly thinking about it or anything. I'm not sitting here all dreamy about it right now either. It's just, it's okay. It's whatever.
No, that bike, I think the word I used in my review was refined. It's really well polished. I have a Street Fighter 1098, so I come from that perspective, and that bike is very raw to me. Riding it on the track, it's a very scary bike on the track. It's really easy to get yourself in a lot of trouble with a bike like that. And also around town on the street, like it doesn't really want to be under 30, 40 miles an hour. You really have to feather the clutch at low speeds to keep the engine from stumbling. And so you go from that to the Street Fighter V4, and it's a night and day difference because it's such a better package. It's a bike that can totally do 10, 15 miles an hour without touching the clutch. And then, just like the Panigale V4, the faster and faster you ride it, the more rewarding it is, but it's totally approachable down low. Like I think they did a really good job of balancing the street versus performance aspect of that. And, when we walk up to it and touch it and feel it, it feels really high quality. I think it looks really good. Yeah, I think they nailed it. That price tag kills me. The price tag kills me really hard, especially in this category where there's already a lot of really good bikes. I think that's the hardest part is there's such a diminishing return on a street bike, on how good it can be and how like good of a time you have on it. And when you have bikes like the Aprilia and the KTM, and I don't love the BMW as much, but the BMW is a pretty good bike too. When you have already a strong set of rivals in that category, it really makes it hard for the Street Fighter V4 to outshine them on the street because there's just, I don't know how to describe this very well, but all of them do the thing very good.
Right.
Where I think the Street Fighter V4 is going to really separate itself is when you get it on the racetrack. The Aprilia isn't really my favorite bike to ride on the racetrack. I'd rather have an RSV4 than a Tuono, hands down, for the racetrack. The old KTM, the chassis wasn't super great for track riding. The new one has a new chassis, and they've really specifically gone to fix a lot of those things. So I would like to see how that rates, and I don't care for the BMW on the track at all. But you can see where the Street Fighter V4 still has that Panigale V4 teeth. They didn't have to take away too much to make it streetable. And my suspicion, because we obviously didn't have the press launch for this, it got canceled because of the coronavirus. So I've had to kind of piece together time through using a dealer's demo bike. Our dealer here is Moto Corsa. They've been kind enough to let me and Shahin have some time on it. I'm sorry, Steve, were we not paying enough attention to you over there? Do we need to have a chaperone?
Steve is like Coda Kitty, Steve will just every so often bat at you just to be like, hey.
Evening Christmas. I'm trying to talk here. Golly.
No, literally the question I was going to ask is which bike is better, the Toyota V4 or the Panigale Street Fighter? That was it.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's all I was really going to get into. And you answered that question pretty well. It's just that you would much rather have a Panigale V4 than a Tuono, or the Street Fighter as opposed to Tuono, or both. You can answer that question however you feel.
I'm waiting, Jensen. What's your answer?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of got lost in that. You want to know a Tuono versus a Panigale V4?
Or
Street Fighter.
Let's say Tuono versus both the Panigale V4 and the Tuono, or no, the Panigale V4 and the Street Fighter. Just both Ducatis versus the Tuono, but also the factory Tuono, the one that has got the R stuff.
This is why I could never be an actor, because when someone does something stupid and funny, I start laughing, and there's just no stopping that. I can bite my tongue all day, and that shit's funny. I'm sorry. But anyways, please answer the question.
Wait.
The Tuono V4 and the Panigale V4 and a Street Fighter, which one would you pick and why? Steve?
Wait, no, actually, I just want to say I actually have to wear these. So like I only have one pair of pants for work because I'm just lazy like that, and I have to wear these for work tomorrow. But besides that, yeah, if it was me, I would pick the Street Fighter because it has wings. Like, why would you choose anything else? Jensen I thought Jensen took his earplugs out like he gave up.
You know,
so I'm
honestly,
so done with you.
Wings-
Can I boot you off this call? Are you kidding me?
No way. I'm gonna. How do I elevate his volume?
Jensen's like, I don't like this game anymore.
I liked it better when everything was a disaster and wasn't working. That was a better show.
You had some minutia of control over the disaster.
I'm gonna ignore Steve's question and answer a question I think that's better. The journalist in me says it's too early to tell between a Street Fighter V4 and a Tuono and a Super Duke and a BMW, just because I do think this category is so strong that you really need to ride them back to back to notice the nuances. And I think it's also unfair when you haven't had a chance to take, what are basically super bikes with no fairings, when you haven't gotten to ride them in all of their, use cases, namely the street and the track. So, with that, like I can kind of, skirt by and say like, I don't know yet. I am very impressed with the Street Fighter V4. I would say going into this ahead of time, I would say the Super Duke was kind of my favorite. And I think the Street Fighter V4 is better than the outgoing Super Duke model. How is the new Super Duke? I don't know. Haven't ridden it yet. It's another bike that we've kind of, because of the coronavirus, haven't had a chance to swing a leg over. I think all of those bikes in that category on the street are more than 99% of what riders can handle. And it would just come down to what brands do you identify with, which one strikes you visually, which one has the features and price that you can afford, that you want. Where I think you're going to start seeing more stratification is on the track. And I think the Street Fighter V4 has a lot of potential there. I'll be curious to see how the semi-active suspension on the Tuono stacks up. I'm very, very curious to see how the Super Duke's new chassis handles on the track. And it's got a more rigid swing arm. It's got a better mounting system for the engine inside the steel trellis frame. So it's like a little TBD. If you want to look at the super bikes, I think the best super bike on the market is a Panigale V4S.
Not the R?
Oh, well, yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'm just never going to afford an R. It's a $40,000 bike worth every freaking dollar, Shahin. But I like the Panigale V4. Now, if it's Jensen's dollars and it's my hard-earned blogging bucks and I'm not getting some press loan, I'm going to buy an RSV4 because I can buy an RSV4 for almost half the price and have like 99.5% as much of a good time on it. I love an RSV4. RSV4, I think, is the pinnacle super bike over the last decade. Like that's been the bike consistently that everyone had to beat. It's as simple as that. I think Ducati's done a really good job of coming out with a product that's more polished, feels more premium, has an insane motor, a good chassis, and does all the things. But, they're also pushing their brand into an area that's more and more exclusive with their pricing. So that's tough.
Steve, let me ask you a technical question. Given the chance to ride a Tiger 900 or a Scrambler 1200, what underwear are you going to wear?
Okay, so that's a tough question because of what boots am I going to wear with that particular pair of underwear. Before we get into that, I do want to applaud Jensen for saying that you should test bikes back to back, because I personally have dealt with the question of, KTM 790R, Adventure R versus Tiger 900 versus Honda Africa Twin versus BMW F850. And like Jensen's kind of saying, you can't pick a bike when people ask you to compare it like back to back to like very specifically, because I've done a couple comparisons. I did a 4-bike shootout with Cycle World, and I did a 2-bike shootout with ADV Pulse, and it's really hard. Like you wouldn't suspect that a Honda Africa Twin would feel better in gravel over a KTM 1090. And then like when it comes to large rock, like riding like some really rocky thing, like Schofield Pass out of Crested Butte, which is where that guy went off the cliff and then the waterfall with that KTM 2-stroke.
Oh God, I've seen that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's a terrifying video. I've done that pass on a KTM 1090, a Honda Africa Twin, and the Revit 9.5 bike, because that bike was at the location for the KTM rally. But in that situation, it depends on what your riding style is. So when you want to compare bikes, like I applaud Jensen for taking a deep breath and saying, I really need to ride them all back to back. When it comes to the Tiger 900 versus Scrambler 1200 XE, so Rally Pro versus 1200 XE, what underwear am I going to wear? It's really going to depend on whether I need full support. I wear these underwear that our buddy David has recommended, which are My Pocket, which has now been rebranded as, is it Beneath? They got this little thing that holds your special bits, right? And it's like a keyhole. Your stuff fits in there. Really nice stuff. So if I'm going to pick a pair of underwear to wear, it's going to be the ones with the most support for either bike, because I need everything out of the way and I need to have like my specific kind of my body inputs on those bikes. Really enjoy having good underwear with good support.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go adventure riding, things can't just be willy-nilly. Something people need to learn.
The last thing you want to do when it comes to adventure riding is wear cotton clothing, any clothing. I specifically wear cotton or polyester high performance clothing because, when you're out there adventure riding, we've all seen it. I get dehydrated. I'm the first person to run out of water every time. And then next thing you know, it's Steve's out of water. Everybody's going to die. The whole mission's gone to shit. Someone's going to run out of gas. Someone broke a rim. It's usually me. So just high performance clothing in general is the best way to go.
All the gear, all the time, including under the gear.
Yeah. And,
but you don't use a cup.
No, I don't use a cup. We never used a cup in the Marine Corps. A lot of people don't know that. I spent 5 years in the Marines. That's how I got.
Oh, you were in the Navy. Oh, that's great.
No, that's how I got this bomb, man. I was in the Marine Corps. But
in the Navy, yeah. I remember you saying you were in the Navy.
Do you know how to spell Marines?
I want to ask the Marine if he knows how to spell Marines.
I really don't know how to spell it, so I have to do this little nursery rhyme. It's my ass rides in Navy equipment. That's how you spell Marine.
That's a good way to remember these things, right?
Thanks.
Sarah's like, finally, I learned something out of this dumb conversation. I'm so glad.
This has been the best YouTube call I've ever been on. This is great, guys. Thanks, guys, for having me on here. I really like the Ducati trivia part. That was my favorite.
Sarah, you are the president of the Houston Desmo Owners Club. What do you do to keep the club active? I mean, I realize right now is not necessarily a thing that we're doing anything to do any group stuff, but you seem to be like one of the people on the forefront that gets people out and interested and engaged. Do you find challenges in that, or do you just kind of have a nice little formula that you do that allows people to have a community?
Yeah, I think that we've kind of gotten into routine. So like every Thursday we have our social night, and then we'll do a monthly ride, and then we have our weekend rides. And I'm so missing it right now. It's like my second family. So hopefully things will get better. And but yeah, I think we've kind of gotten a routine, and everyone kind of knows what's going on. And Thursdays are probably mainly our, it's every week, so everybody knows, to look forward to that. And yeah, I can't wait for it to get back up and going.
Do you guys have like a spot you go to, or do you go somewhere different every week?
Personally, I like to change it up. So we'll meet up at the same place, but then we'll go like eat somewhere different. Otherwise it's going to get boring. I'm going to change it up. So
where's the good place to ride in Houston? Because I'm only really familiar with the Austin area and like doing the
it's not
the hill country.
Yeah, exactly. So Houston is so flat. So we don't really have anywhere that's great to ride. So we'll either have to trailer to the hill country. That's where we go for the weekend. Yeah, but it sucks. It's like kind of boring. There's not very many interesting roads.
Is it do a lot of your members do track days with you guys every once a month or so when it's actually happening?
Yeah. So we have a group that we have within our club, and we'll do the track days together. So we kind of have our we have some newbies that come in, and then we try to always encourage people, come to the track with us. And so I think that always helps get some people more involved because they already know us. So we just have a great time together. Yeah.
How's the dealerships down there? Do you guys tend to go there a lot? And we always talk on the podcast about, dealerships and experiences and how people are treated in different places. What's your sort of outlook of the local offerings as far as dealerships are concerned?
Yeah. So we have two dealerships here, and they're both are fantastic. Probably, I don't know how far apart they are, but we are active with both the dealerships. And yeah, we don't have any really complaints. They've been great. They support us and we support them. We try to, do different events at both the dealerships and keep it all together.
Any motorcycle travel plans, considering if things go better?
I know. So I was supposed to go to Guatemala this weekend, and unfortunately that's going to have to be postponed. And then we're supposed to go to Italy for the World Ducati Week, and that got postponed as well. So I'm really getting the itch to do some adventure riding, because I was going to ask y'all, I've only ridden sport bikes. So I've never even ridden a dirt bike. What would you advise to start getting into that? I'm just I haven't even ridden to any of the parks. Maybe I need to rent a bike or take a van, because there's nowhere really to ride in Texas, and it seems like everything is on the West Coast or up north.
Steve, you got any suggestions here?
When it comes to your first bike, it really depends on what you want to do. Do you want to ride to an event, or do you want to show up to an event with a bike on a trailer and then have a ton of fun? So if you want to do the ride to the event thing, the Kawasaki KLR, and you want to buy a brand new bike, Kawasaki KLR is an easy choice. I don't even know if they sell those brand new.
No, they killed the KLR now. It's out.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they come out with a KLR 650, but it's a Versys motor. So it'll be a twin. That would be really cool. But when it comes to adventure riding, it doesn't matter what bike you ride at the event. You're going to have fun as long as the bike that you have is fun. So, I had a bunch of the Revit women's adventure team come out for Alt Ride or Conserve the Ride in 2018. Was that 19? 18. And so I supplied the women's Revit adventure team with all the bikes that I could bring. So I had a DR200 and a Husky Terra 650, and then my ex-wife Amelia, she had her Husaberg 390. So a really small baby dirt bike, a real dirt bike, and then that Husky Terra 650, which is really just a BMW 650 GS. Okay. All really great bikes for the beginning budding adventure rider. Actually, Amelia had purchased a BMW F650 GS, the single cylinder, for her first adventure bike, and that's when she got picked up from the Revit adventure team. Was actually when she was riding that F650 GS. That bike really served its purpose for something that's easy to ride, not super intimidating. But to get into adventure riding, what you want to do is you want to pick the bike that's easiest to ride, something you're comfortable on. For me, while yes, I ride this, Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE, which is all the way up here, my dirt bike is a KTM 250 4-stroke EXCF. It's the bottom. Like people are like, you're too big for that. I'm 6'2" and 210 pounds in a push-up bra, and it really just matters what you're going to have the most fun on. And you have to weigh whether you need a license plate or not. After that, you're going to learn a bunch of stuff about motorcycles and the way that traction works, whether your lean angles are going to fall off, body positioning, that ties a lot in with flat track school. So down by you, Sarah, you have the Texas Tornado Flat Track School.
That's right.
So if you can get yourself to a flat track school, you can actually learn a lot about adventure bike riding or just dirt bike riding in general in a really safe environment. Highly recommend doing all those things before you really like kind of pull the trigger. So like I made a mistake. My first adventure bike was my Triumph Tiger 800 Roadie, so which is the XR model later on with the cast wheels. If I knew what I was going to do with my adventure bike, I would have bought an XC, but I didn't. I thought I was going to be the 2-up sport touring champion of the world. And I really was. The first year that I had that bike, I did 7,500 miles, 2-up, all for vacation, pleasure miles, like exploring. And I rode all the way up to Maine. I had a ton of really good trips, but then I did one adventure ride, which was actually Alt Riders Conserve the Ride in 2013, and that changed everything. So adventure riding is like super contagious in the way that like, Shahin will tell you, like you do one adventure ride, and you're hooked.
Okay.
To explain on Shahin, if you could explain on like what that infectious feeling is that you get when you go on your first adventure ride, because my theory behind it is that as an adult, you don't have a lot of new experiences. So it's hard to have a new experience. So when you have this new experience with another group of adults, you end up forming this bond with people that's different. And it's almost like a childhood bond. So those people that I did my first adventure ride with, I'm still friends with to this day, because like we had a new experience and we're like, this is our experience. This is our opinion. We like this. We want more of it. And then you do more of that. So adventure riding like inserts almost this like whole like kindergarten or first grade thing about your like your feelings in your life. Like you create new opinions and you create new feelings. That's my feeling on adventure riding, because it's hard. Like we're in the 21st century. Like when's the last time, you really struggled in America here? Like, when's you go to, no one's really struggling here, even in this COVID era. Like, so when you get this challenge of adventure riding and you've got to go out and you've got to tackle this trail and you're intimidated and you're worried about breaking your bike and you're worried about those things, it creates this bond between you and the people you do it with. That's pretty unique. Shahin, maybe you can expand on that and then insert your thoughts on the best adventure bike for someone who wants to begin adventure riding.
I think that you kind of put it perfectly. It is a chance. Anytime I go out off-roading, it's truly one of the first things that allows you to experience something new every time, because it's never the same. The roads are never the same. The experience is never the same. The people are never the same. The environment constantly changes. So he's right. I mean, once you get on there, it's all these new experiences that happen over and over again. Everybody that I know that does adventure riding kind of gets hooked into it, and it's an ability to go out and see the countryside in a different manner, and you get off the main path and kind of get into that explorer frame set, which is super fun. As far as the first bike is concerned, I've dealt with that a lot for 15 years, helping people find their first bikes. The question I always ask is, what are you trying to do? So if you're trying to do adventure riding, like Steve said, are you going to be doing like long distance riding and going out and like exploring the countryside on this motorcycle? Or do you want to go to an event and just, bomb around and have a good time and do like rally races? If your idea is to have a plated bike that you can just pack up and essentially go camping and do all that kind of stuff and do long distance touring on, then, what's your budget? How big do you want it to be? How, are you comfortable with a big cumbersome bike, or do you rather have a lightweight bike? And then you start seeing that there's this huge, myriad choices, and you can start narrowing it down based on what's the brand that you favor, what's the size that you favor, what's the amount of money you want to spend on there. And before you know it, you start looking at things like a KTM 790, or you want to go big, you start looking at, multi-strata 1260 or a 950 or a BMW. So there's a lot of options, but a lot of people tend to start small and cheap because they don't want to destroy it and feel bad about it. So they go for something like the KLR. And a lot of people are like, I've got the money, I have insurance, that's what it's for. And they buy a $25,000 1260 Enduro or a R1250 GSA. And there's so much in the middle there. So that's just a hour-long conversation that we can have. I'm glad to hear that's something you're interested in, because it's a new and fun perspective on motorcycling. And I only started doing like 3 years ago, and it's changed everything for me. Like, that's all I care about. My sport bike riding is still around. I love sport bikes a lot, and I have a dedicated track bike, but I ride that like 8 times a year, as opposed to my multi-strata that I put 12,000 miles in 1 year on. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll just chime in. I'll take a page out of Shahin's book and say any bike's an adventure bike if you want it to be. Just you can put some TKC 80s on that V4S of yours and have a really good time.
We did that. Hey, it works.
It's not the perfect tool for it, but it gets it done. The thing that's interesting about that segment is it's so diverse, and it's what you want to make out of it. And the good part is there's really is a bike for every niche or every part of the spectrum that you want to be on, whether it's on-road or off-road or touring or solo. So that is one thing I think the motorcycle industry has done a very good job of giving riders a lot of options, and there's plenty of used bikes out there. So Sarah, I'll be curious to see which one you end up picking.
Yeah, that's a conversation I'm excited to have hopefully later on with you, to see what direction you end up kind of going with that. Because, obviously people like you and I were presidents of, Desma Owners Club. So like there's a little bit of pressure of like staying with Ducati, but there's a lot of options out there. So, you could always have the Ducati street bike and then go for, I don't know, a Honda on the side, who knows?
I would like to interject two things. One, and it's weird because I suggest my little brother Kurt, he's cooler than me. Everybody knows that, who's a close friend of mine. I suggested to him to buy a Ducati desert sled. And at the time, a Ducati desert sled was more money than like a leftover KTM 1190. And like when you think like desert sled 1190, like what do you why would someone who's in the industry, who's ridden all the bikes, suggest to his little brother to buy a Ducati desert sled over a KTM 1190? And it's again, what bike fits you. So my little brother's ridden his desert sled 30,000 miles since he bought it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, he's ridden it across the country, I think 4 times, maybe 5. Like, he's just unstoppable on it. Loves it. Absolutely loves the bike. So that plays into, like, pick the right bike for you. Like, I told him what was the right bike for him, and he listened to me, which was fortunate for him. And that really paid off for him in the long run. Like, that bike fits him. It's easier to throw your leg over it every time you go to get on it, and the parts are a little bit cheaper, and he's able to customize it. He's done, all these little mods and bolt-ons and things like that. So just a really cool lightweight adventure bike where, like, if he had to throw his leg over a 1090 or 1190 KTM Adventure R and then ride it off road and have to deal with, just all that excess weight up top, like, he would have a lot less fun, and he'd have a lot less miles on that bike. So that plays into which is the right bike for you, is the one you're going to ride the most. So always keep that in mind. Also, I want to say, I think it's Cole Kirkpatrick and Russell Bobbitt have their company called Gnarly Routes. They have like a tour company. They take a couple KTMs around, but I think they're based out of Texas. Jensen, maybe you could pick us up on that. But I know they do some dirt bike rides, like curated dirt bike rides in Texas, and then they do them all over the country. They're always fully packed. But Sarah, they would probably love to have me
Cool.
come out and do some of those really cool rides that they do. And Cole is he's one of the photographers for KTM, but he's also just a super cool, super mellow dude. Great bunch of guys to ride around with. And like if you rode a dirt bike around, I think you'd learn a whole bunch of stuff, and then you'd be able to decide like, do I want to go dirt biking or adventure bike riding? So Jensen, maybe you can expand
Yeah,
on
I'd
that.
love to.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say maybe you could expand on you know that company that Cole Kirkpatrick and Russell Bobbitt run. It's called Gnarly Routes.
I've never heard of them before.
I just looked them up a little bit. It's gnarlyroutes.com, GNARLY routes.com. And yeah, it looks like they do all kinds of stuff: Texas, Utah, Colorado.
And they rent the bikes out?
Yeah, so it's
cool.
basically it's a whole curated, like adventure experience, and that's actually a really great way of getting into it, because the cost of getting into it is much cheaper than like plonking down $15,000 to $20,000 on a brand new adventure bike and deciding, oh wait, maybe this isn't for me. I have a feeling, having known you for a while, you're going to do it and you're going to be like, well, awesome, great, now I have to buy a new bike. Thanks.
Probably. All right, awesome. I'm gonna have to look them up, because that'd be great to try it out before having, like you said, before having to buy a bike and all that, and having them kind of teach you a little bit what
like
to
Steve
do.
said, try them all, try a bunch. It's your money, and it's going to be a thing you're going to be with for a while, right? So test ride as many as the dealerships will allow you. I know some dealers are not cool with test rides, but I feel like if you walk in as a genuine buyer and you're someone who's really doing some research, you can't just go based on someone's suggestion, right? Because something fits Steve or Kurt or Jensen or myself doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fit you. So you got to go and ride the thing yourself and make sure you're comfortable with it. And because motorcycles are ultimately sort of an emotional purchase, right? And you got to make sure you're buying the right one. So that's, hopefully you have a good salesperson that will help you, kind of navigate that, as genuinely as he can, because they're trying to meet their goals and numbers and stuff like that. But somebody said maybe just buy a Pan America.
Yeah, well, I saw someone in the comments mentioned Rawhide. That would have been the one I would have mentioned. That's kind of like the gold standard adventure touring group here in the US. But
yeah, I'm actually hoping to sign up with them soon to do a Rawhide thing, just to experience it and be able to talk about it. But that was the one I was thinking of as well. They're sort of a big name. There's a lot. And again, the question is, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be off-road all the time, or are you just trying to get out there and explore the world? Because there's also MotoQuest that, does like rides through Alaska or Baja area. And those are
rentals
incredible.
too. MotoQuest does rentals.
Yep.
That'd be amazing. So many fun things to do.
So many fun things, so little time. But now we have nothing but time. Jensen, do you want to try and wrap this up and end on a high note?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of time, I'm looking at the clock and we're like 90 minutes in, so maybe it's a good time to wrap it up. So I want to thank Sara and Steve for joining us on the live chat today. I'm sorry it took us so long to get it working properly, but hey, what are you going to do?
Hey, I gave Sara a warning before this even happened hours ago. Like, you are our guinea pig. This is our first time doing this, so thanks for being a cool sport.
Yeah, and thank you
Thanks
to
for
everyone.
having me.
Thank you to everyone who joined us on the chat too, all of our viewers, because obviously it was a little horrendous, but we'll try and iron this out so it's a little bit more streamlined in the future. And if you guys like this format, if you think it's cool and want to see us keep doing it, let us know, because if no one wants to watch it, then there's no point in us doing it. So Shahin, thank you for joining me as always, my co-host in arms. And,
my pleasure as always. Do you guys want to tell us what you're doing? Anything cool that people should pay attention to before you let you go?
I would say Sara, ladies first, but I'll give you a little bit of time to think about the thing that you're going to do. I'm just going to keep creating YouTube videos. The problem with creating or shooting YouTube videos is that I have a ton of footage. It takes me a ton of time to edit. So this quarantine's actually been a blessing in disguise. I'm going to keep working on my videos. I have 2 Scrambler 1200 XE review videos for that bike. I have a BMW R1250 GS review video, a Honda Africa Twin 1000 Adventure Sports review video that I have to produce, and my own personal Tiger 900 video that I have to produce and get finished up. And then I have LA Barstow to Vegas from 2018, the Date Your Challenge from 2018, and a whole bunch of other video projects. So if you subscribe to Asphalt and Rubber's YouTube channel, that'd be super rad because they're super rad. And then if you subscribe to my YouTube channel later, I don't care if you do or you don't, but that's the kind of projects that I'm working on, where it's just a ton of work, and hopefully I keep the content coming while everybody's under quarantine. Everybody stays safe. Wear a face mask. I don't give a shit if nobody else is wearing a face mask in the liquor store. Just put the fucking face mask on. That's me.
Nice. I like it. Sarah, how about you?
Wow, I don't think I have that much going on, but as he does, what am I doing? I've been keeping busy. I'm still trying to figure out how to work my drone so I can add some cool footage to some of the videos, and hopefully I'll be on the track soon, and probably not any international travel anytime soon. So that's what I was trying to figure out, like if I can do some type of writing throughout the US. So I'm brainstorming right now.
Cool. Let's set up some cool routes together and get you out there. There's a lot of really awesome people that you can meet out there. Jensen, I'll let you sign off, but I always say safety third.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for listening to us, to our viewers and watching us. And hopefully we'll see you next week. And until then, good talk, and I'll see you.